I'm Sal Henley and welcome back to the Slimming World Kitchen. Today we're bringing some sunshine into the kitchen. Barbecue skewers. Who doesn't love a skewer, whether you're cooking it inside under the grill or actually out on the barbecue? We're going to do some lamb ones today, but this recipe is very interchangeable. So if you're a vegetarian, you could use firm tofu cubes, slices of aubergine or lovely little chestnut mushrooms could go into the marinade, or it works really well with chicken, halloumi, anything like that. And it just involves 3 store cupboard ingredients. So here we got 4 lean steaks. They're quite thick, or you can have 8 thinner lean lamb steaks. What you do need to do though is remove all the visible fat. Now, if you don't feel very confident with a knife, just use a pair of scissors like this. So just cut into bite-sized chunks, or if you're confident with a knife, just take a knife and you see that fat, you just trim it away like that. And you'll find with the lamb steaks, they tend to have sort of it dispersed through, so just ensure that you get all of it, but without wasting all that lovely meat. There we go. And then I'm going to add that to the rest there. So the spices, 2 teaspoons of everything, really simple. So this is sweet smoked paprika, then 2 teaspoons of ground cumin, then 2 of dried oregano, as you know, my favourite herb. And this is the zest of 1 lemon. I'm just going to put the lemon juice into there. So I'm just going to squeeze the juice out using a fork. It gives you a bit more pressure and you can get more juice out of it. If you also are struggling and your lemons aren't very ripe, if you just pop them in the microwave for say 10 seconds and give them a roll on the chopping board before you cut into them, that will release more juice. Now there's a few pips in there. Just use your fork to grab those out. And then we're going to put that on top, and then you give that a good sort of stir. And then what you want to do is marinate this for at least an hour. Ideally, I would do this for at least 24 hours overnight would be perfect. Or if you want to do it before you go to work in the morning, then you could do that. So give that a good mix, and then you want to cover that. I'm just putting a plate on top, put that in the fridge, and let's marinate it overnight. So after an hour or 24 hours, depending on what time you have, you pull out the lamb or your chicken or your vegetables, and then you thread them on 12 metal skewers, if you've got metal skewers. If you haven't, don't worry, we have a little hack. So I'm going to just finish them off. I've already made 10 here. And you can alternate between the meat and the vegetables. And again, if you wanted to vary the vegetables that are going on there, we're using 2 mixed peppers and 2 red onions cut into sort of wedges. So you put the petals of the onion on there. But of course, you could use things like courgette or cherry tomatoes are delicious on there as well. Whatever you fancy, really. And then you just keep threading as you go. So that's the sort of metal skewer. And also it depends on the size of the metal skewer to how much you can get on it. I tend not to bunch all the meat and vegetables together and give them a little bit of room so they can grill evenly. Then you can use wooden skewers. Now the trick with wooden skewers is you need to soak those for at least 20 minutes in cold water, and then that will prevent them from burning. But there's another way to prevent them from burning once you've threaded them. So we'll thread this last one up, and again, just alternate with the vegetables. And they're great and really colourful. And I think if you get the children involved with these, you could just make sure you help them. Probably not with the metal skewers, but with the wooden ones will be fine. And you can put that on. And then they're more likely to eat it if they've been involved in the making of it. Okay, so there we go. Now, what I'm going to do is actually put a little bit of foil around each end of the wooden skewer, because otherwise that might blacken up and you don't want to show that when it comes to presenting it to all your guests. So just put little bits of foil. You can have it, you reuse foil that you've used the night before. I often keep foil. There we go. Then what you do is you pop that into a grill that's heated to medium to high, and it takes about 10 to 12 minutes. I've used the universal tray that comes with the oven. I've just lined it with foil at the bottom, and then I've taken one of the shelves actually, because it's nice and big and gives enough space for all the skewers to cook at once rather than having to do it in batches. So we'll pop those in the grill. You need to turn them halfway through and just keep an eye on them. Oh, here we go. And that is what the kebabs look like. How delicious. What you want is them slightly tinged, like they've got that barbecue flavour to them. Or alternatively, you could cook them on a barbecue outside. Just make sure your coals are medium hot, so they'll be grey basically. And obviously the heat is concentrated in the middle of the barbecue. So if you start to overcook them, just pull them to the outside. Little tip there. Okay, let's plate them up. I'm going to serve it with some lemon because I love the zestiness of lemon and mint with lamb. And I'm just going to cut some wedges. And just to smarten up the wedges, I just take both ends off and then remove any seeds because you don't want those on the food. And then if there's any little strip there, you can cut it out. Like that's got quite a big strip. So it just looks pretty to the eye. You know me, always eating with your eyes first. So try and work on the presentation a bit. Then, now be super careful, the metal ones are really hot, so you can put those on the plate, but just to show you with the wooden skewers, you just take off the foil, and they have slightly tinged, but they're not black, so it really does work with wooden skewers. Just remember to soak them for 20 minutes. And then we'll go for that one on top. So we go, and then we're going to serve it with a lovely sort of chopped salad. So I've got some gem lettuce leaves here, and we just chop that quite finely, and it just adds a little different sort of dimension to it. It's a bit more like a salsa, which is lovely. And then some cucumber, and it really gives a nice zing to the whole dish. Also mint leaves, I love a few mint leaves on there. You could either sort of rip off the smaller leaves and scatter those over the top, like so, or if you wanted to, you could shred them up and put them on top. Another thing you could serve with this, which would be really lovely and really complement the flavour of the lamb, is if you get some fat-free Greek yogurt and then chop some of this mint or dried mint and put that in with some grated cucumber that you've squeezed out the water from, and maybe a bit of garlic in there, salt and pepper, and have a sort of little cooling cucumber yogurty dip. It would be delicious. And we're serving it with some Slimming World chips, and you can have it with other salads as well. And a good squeeze of lemon juice just brings out all the flavours. It's a perfect accompaniment to your barbecue.